Hello Cherries fans, happy Monday and welcome to Back of the Net. My name's Sam Davis.
My name's Tom Jordan.
It's a bit of a boring weekend, mate, wasn't it?
Did we have a game?
We had, and this is 5 things we learned from Bournemouth v Brentford. There weren't many things to learn, but we managed to pick out 5 points. And the first of which, Tom,
Yes.
we perhaps didn't learn this, but VAR is still completely useless. Been chatting to a number of different people. People are saying different things, but there were 3 different incidents. I think 2 of them had more talking points than the rest. The first one, though, was Jordan Zamora, and that's when it looked like he was felled. Well, he was felled, went to VAR, referee stuck with his decision. Of course, there was the one where the body was thrown in front of Kiefer Moore just as he was taking a shot later on into the second half, and then the foot-to-hand moment in the final stages of the game, nearly the last moment of the game. But mate, VAR, it's still farcical, isn't it?
Oh, it stinks, man. I hate it. I bloody hell. I knew I'd hate it. But yeah, it's horrible, especially as a match-going fan. It is really horrible because you don't really know what's going on. I think it's just the consistency. I mean, do I think any of them or if all of them were penalties? I'm not sure. So in that instance, you go, well, you can't give them then. Agreed. But then we go to Nottingham Forest and it's a ball to hand and the ref changes his mind, gives a penalty. And it's just, there's just no consistency. I saw, obviously not in our game, but I saw one in the Chelsea game, which was outrageous. And I can't help but think that this was supposed to be brought in to, iron stuff out and stop a bit of controversy. But if we're one of the big boys, one of the big 6, we get a penalty at the weekend. Yeah. If we're one of the big 6, we maybe even get away with it at Newcastle. And suddenly we're talking about 6 points in the last 2 rather than 2. Yeah. And that's what's frustrating. There's no consistency. I don't understand the handball rule, for example. Don't get it. I don't particularly, their one, right at the end of the game, as you mentioned, I don't particularly want them to be given as penalties. Because I don't think the player knows. But did Lloyd Kelly know when the ball got smashed at him from about 2 yards? No, of course he didn't. And that went against us because we were away from home at a bigger club. And that's what frustrates me. The first one, the Jordan Zamora one, difficult one. If that's in the middle of the pitch, it's a foul all day long.
Yeah, it is. Do you think we're overcomplicating it when we think of VAR? We're just overcomplicating it. To me, he took out Jordan Zamora and then he got the ball, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. And I'm watching different things on Sky Sports where Dermot Gallagher's thinking it's a pen, but then there's other media pundits and ex-referees who are saying it isn't a pen. Yeah. It's just all over the place. What really gets me is that you can have 2 very similar incidents happening in different matches, and you can have one ref say one thing and one ref say another, and it'll go to VAR. Now, I thought the whole point of VAR is right or wrong. Yeah. But it's nothing to do with right or wrong. It seems to be whether there's a clear error made by the referee, which I just don't get.
This goes from a refereeing kind of opinion to some more referees sat in Stockley Park giving their opinion. And what's the point? To me, it's kind of, right, this bloke's getting paid to be a referee. We're not always going to like it, but it's what he says goes. Just do it like that. Yeah. The offside thing's maybe a little bit of a different conversation because, I don't like it personally because I don't think football's a science and it's too much of a science with these lines out. But I guess there's a little bit more of a yes or a no with offsides. With this, it's still someone's opinion. It's still a certain person's decision. So let's just leave it with a ref, shall we? Otherwise, we might as well get rid of them and just have robots. I don't. But yeah, it still frustrates me because I still feel like we'll see come the end of the season. But I bet the likes of Bournemouth, the likes of Brentford, will have less decisions go their way from VAR than the likes of Chelsea, Newcastle, bigger clubs.
But what infuriates me, and I wrote this out the other day, is just the fact that it takes so long. And to me, there's no sporting integrity to that. It's like stopping Ronnie O'Sullivan when he's on his way to a 147, when he's 120 points down on the board, or Michael Gerwin's on for a 9-darter and after 6 darts they have to stop it for a bit, and then because your mindset changes. Yeah. And at that stage we were just getting into the game. It was a little bit bitty, it was a little bit scrappy, but the momentum was building, and then it stops for 2 minutes, and then it's almost like we have to reset again. And to me, it just kills the passion, it kills the anger that the players might feel after a wrong decision. That's what I just don't understand, is that fact you can have 2 different decisions from the same incident in 2 different games. To me, that doesn't make sense. Why have VAR in the first place if it's just going to go with what the ref says? It doesn't. I don't get it.
No, I agree, and I just don't like what it does as a supporter. It kills everything. You don't feel like you can celebrate a goal the same way. football is all about going down the pub with your mates and talking about all the controversial decisions. It's going to happen anyway. It's still happening now.
But was it a pen though? Was it a pen? Zamura's one. I mean, his leg was unusually high, wasn't it?
I would probably say that one is probably a pen.
Yeah.
But I could see why a ref maybe wouldn't give it. The other two, I don't think
Okay,
are.
why wouldn't you give it?
Because he gets a touch on the ball.
That's what he gets a touch on the ball before he gets a touch on Zamora. Is that right?
Yeah, I just think it's one of them that's really, you have to see it so many times that if a referee, let's just say in this conversation there's no VAR, if a referee doesn't give that, I would look at it and go, oh, that might be a pen, but I can see why he hasn't. So it wasn't clear and obvious, but the other two aren't pens in my opinion. That one maybe is, but I could see why he didn't. But yeah, as I say, mate, it just kills everything for me. I think as a football fan that goes to the games, it's all about the memories you have in the crowd with your mates, and going mental and just living in the moment. Now we can't because we got to wait around, and it just frustrates me. And as one of the little boys, I do think we're going to suffer more than most.
And then when Kiefer Moore was through on goal, we sort of broke away. Lerma set Tavernier free, and then it fell to Kiefer Moore. I think he maybe should have taken it first time. He didn't, took a touch, and then a body came in. There were a few half-hearted shouts there that ended up going the other way, didn't it? Was that a pen? It didn't seem like a pen to me when I saw it.
No, I didn't think it was a pen. There was no part of me that really thought it was a pen. I don't think it was a foul the other way, to be honest. But it wasn't a penalty for me, no.
And then the last one, the ball to hand moment. Sorry, foot to hand.
Yeah, it's one of them that I don't think that's a penalty, but then you go, yeah, but what about Lloyd Kelly's at Forest? I go, oh, it is then. No. And that's what I mean, because I don't know the rule. I don't understand what's going on because of the lack of consistency. I'm in the North Stand, I'm right behind it. My head goes, well, that's never a pen. And then I go, oh, but some of the decisions that have been given, might give it.
There's no black and white to it, is there? The only
clue.
Black and white is the fact that they will make the referee check if it's a 50-50. If they consider it a 50-50, the only black and white is that we're going to ask the referee to check this. And then he can do whatever he wants anyway. So it's all subjective. Therefore, why not just get rid of it?
Exactly.
Just get rid of it.
Yeah,
What's the point?
Yeah, it's all subjective
rid of
regardless. Yeah, just get rid of the bloody thing. Do my head in.
Point number 2. What else did we learn?
Oh, go on.
I thought the atmosphere was rank. I thought it was really bad. I know it's Brentford, and Brentford aren't one of the bigger sides, and we always raise ourselves for the big teams or the local derbies. And actually, to be honest, Brentford is probably more local than most teams we're playing this season, apart from Saints. But I thought the Ted Mac, where I was in, was dead. Sometimes you don't get to, because of like the atmospherics and like the way the wind's blowing and stuff, sometimes you don't hear the sound carry from the North Stand, but as someone in the North Stand, was it all right?
Nah, rubbish. It was dead.
Why is that?
I don't know, and I think this point of, it probably just happens naturally, but this point of, it's not a massive game in terms of not playing the big boys.
I mean, but it's a huge game.
Huge game. Well, we're the first as a fan base to moan when you go to your Liverpools and your Man Cities, and they're so dead because of Bournemouth are there.
Yeah.
But then we're doing the same thing in my opinion. It's difficult. I think we go to all the games, and I think all the home fans have probably been a little bit disappointed.
Yeah.
And they normally are. But yeah, it does frustrate me. I think
apart from Man City,
they weren't too bad. Yeah. But yeah, it was poor, and I think it's one of them. It is a balance. We've spoke about this in the past. It's got to be a bit of give and take. It was a dull football match.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes you've got to have a bit of give and take. And I think the players would appreciate that as well, that they've got to give us something to cheer about, and then we've got to get behind them. And I think it kind of it goes with the nature of the game. And even little things like that could have been a dull game, but we were getting corner after corner, and everyone's like, oh, come on. And it wasn't quite that sort of game. And to be fair, I don't think for an away fan base, Brentford were that loud either.
No, they weren't. No.
Away fans normally get rocking. I think that was the type of game. Yeah. So I think take it with a pinch of salt a little bit, but we do need to improve it because as one of the little boys, we need to make it a bit of a fortress. We've just got to. We've got to.
I really hope there can be some changes in the long... Look, obviously this new takeover, we don't know what's going to happen, but I gather there are certain things being done in and around the stadium to help improve, the look of the stadium. I'm hearing... Sorry to sound like one of these investigative journalists when it comes to AFC Bournemouth, but the seats, a certain section of seats will be, they're trialling a recolouring of the seats. Yeah. So they're less pink and more red, which is quite good. But what I would like to see in terms of, not in terms of the sort of aesthetics, is I would like to see safe standing. Because I think that that would certainly help. And there are times where I've been in the North Stand and it'd be great to have all the singing lot together. I sometimes sit in my seat and they're, say like the left side are like singing really loudly and I'm sat somewhere on the right hand side, in the middle, wherever, and there are just people around you that aren't singing, you feel almost embarrassed to sing because you feel as though you're spoiling their moment. But they've chosen to sat in the North Stand for a reason, but they're choosing not to get behind the lads when a lot of other people are. And sometimes, I don't know, I just feel as though we need to come together, and I would really like Dean Court to become a fortress and to be a loud fortress as well. But for some games where I feel as though the ones where we should be winning, you know, Brentford, look, we'll take a draw, but that was one of the winnable ones.
Yeah.
We didn't really get behind them, and I know it's give and take, but some fan bases give more than they take, and you know, some fan bases I feel maybe take more than they give, and perhaps we're one of them.
It seems to be going that way. I think hopefully we can sort it out. And as I say, it was a particularly dull game. But yeah, we do need to get behind them a little bit more. I think it's very important, as I say, for a club like us to really make it a nasty place for the opposition to go, for sure. And we need to try and get it rocking as best we can. You know me, mate. I wouldn't be embarrassed, but I haven't got a loud enough voice. I try my best, but I'm only little. Okay. But yeah, let's hope we can sort that out, because I think Gary, at the moment in charge, and the players, they would proper appreciate it, mate.
Yeah. Point number 3. We looked a bit blunt up top.
Yeah.
I thought we looked blunt on the attack. Quality seemed to evade us in the final moments. There were... This is just one 90-minute game where we've just got these gripes, so...
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be corrected in future games, but there were just a few individuals that weren't particularly at it. I thought that Tavernier's set pieces weren't particularly great, and there were a number of people on social media that were saying that as well. I think that we probably looked a poorer side for having Kiefer Moore in it this time. I thought that we could have maybe chucked on some other players that would have that attacking flair, such as Jayden Anthony or, dare I say it, Siriki Dembele, to run at them. It seems like he only trusts Christie to come on from the bench at the moment. I don't know. I just felt as though the mentality went back to sort of the Scott Parker sort of do not lose, rather than the smell blood, let's get the win. Because Brentford, I don't think were that great.
Well, I think that's getting a balance. I think I certainly agree, we look blunt up top. I think I went into the game sanguine is the word I'm going to use, right, Craig?
I'm going to look that up.
Yeah. So I was hopeful. Okay. Yeah. I was hopeful but not expectant. I knew it would be a difficult game. And I think that was probably the way it turned out. I think, what you got there?
Optimistic or positive, especially in an apparently bad or difficult situation.
Yeah, we're not expected to do anything, but I was hopeful.
Who said that?
Craig. He always gives us a little word.
Travers.
But yeah, no, listen, I totally agree. But equally, I think I said this on a previous show, we keep saying at the end of games, I didn't think they were that good. So if we keep saying that, we're doing something right to stop them looking any good. Okay. And I think as much as we were blunt up top, they certainly were as well. Yeah. I don't think there was much in the game. I think it was a fair result. I think, I actually think I looked at every game individually this season, and I think we're exactly what we deserve to have. The 2 games we won, we thoroughly deserved to win. Yeah. The 3 games we lost, we thoroughly deserved to lose. And all the draws, I think we earned a draw but didn't do enough to win. Yeah. So I actually think we're on the points total we deserve to be. I totally agree with you that we didn't give enough going forward, similarly to the other home game with O'Neill in charge, which was a 0-0 against Wolves. But it is getting that balance. And I think the result of Newcastle in particular, which was I felt like a bonus point. I didn't expect to go there and get anything. I think it was one of them. I think he was in danger of that in that moment, kind of going, we've probably got a point here. We look comfortable. We look like we're going to be able to grind this out. Yeah. Do I stick or twist? Do I go for it? Bring on your Jayden Anthony, your Dembele, and kind of have a go, because they look like we could nick a win here. Yeah. But if I do that, we might get caught. And I think because of the point of Newcastle, we thought actually it's a good point and it's safer. If we go for it and they score a late goal, everyone goes, why did he change it? We didn't look like we were going to concede. Point. It's a difficult one. I totally agree with you. I'd like to see us a little bit more expansive. But we had something to hang on to. And I think on the long run, I think this will all go to this next game against Leicester. If we go and beat Leicester, we'll look back and go, that's a bloody good point, wasn't it? Yeah. And I think the Newcastle point helped towards that. But I agree, it was an interesting one that he only made that one change. And does that mean that he maybe doesn't trust the squad players and the sub as much that we had on the pitch? Maybe. Because there were a few players, I think Billing and Tavernier in particular, I felt ran their race. And I felt that we could have freshened it up. But maybe he just thought it might take these players a couple of minutes to get into it. And at least these players know their roles and we're probably going to get a point here. So, balance again, mate. But we certainly need to, and Gary O'Neill said it, didn't he? We certainly need to offer a little bit more of a threat to the opposition. Yeah. We just need to give them something to worry about a little bit, I think.
Point 4 of what we learned from Bournemouth Brentford was Lerma, the enforcer. What a good game he had, mate. What a good game he had. He was doing his normal defensive duties, but he was managing to also be on the end of a number of chances. That one that was cleared off the line, which was probably our best chance, actually. But I thought we had a really, really good game. Maybe not a new thing we learned, but especially from that game, I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah, he was superb. I thought he kept everything ticking. He was the glue, if you like. Got his first yellow, didn't he? But nice to see him back in the months of bookings. I was getting a bit worried about him. Like, has he calmed down a bit too much? But as you say, he scored against Villa. And he had one header that went over the bar and then the one that they cleared off the line. So he's showing that strength in the air. But I just think he's so good in front of that back four. And, they almost at times should have had an extra body in there with the way they were set up compared to ourselves. But he is superb for me. He's so consistent, it's unreal. He very rarely has a bad game. His completion of passes is always up there. One of the best in the team, and he breaks the play out really well. So he's been really, really key for us. And I think as well, with the kind of injuries we've got at the moment, the few injuries we've got, but one of them's Ben Pearson. You need people like Lerma to make sure they're doing the business. And I think for the first time, him and Lewis are having a nice little combination now. There's probably a period of them two in the side together, and it's working really well. I think Lewis actually did have the best pass completion rate. Lerma was shortly behind, and that's key in that spine for them two to be really short, and that's helped the defence as well, and the fact that we've kept the 3 clean sheets now after our 9-0 slapping up at Anfield.
Point 5 then of what we learned, and that is the fact that Chris Mepham and Marcus Senesi were absolutely rock-like at the back. Chris Mepham especially I thought was superb, but it's good to see Marcus Senesi growing into his position. I thought he did really well, but Chris Mepham, there were some brilliant blocks he was making. There was one block on Ivan Toney, I think, that was superb. It would have been offside anyway, but he just slid in. He was putting his body on the line. You know what? This is a good combination that's forming. Really,
really good. Another clean sheet at home. I think people outside of Bournemouth don't realise we're without our captain, by the way. We're without our main centre half in Lloyd Kelly. And we're also without, Fredericks wasn't available at the weekend, and then as I mentioned, Ben Pearson, who's a bit of a protector. So, and we come off the back of a 9-0, and we've kept a couple of clean sheets in that time, and that's really impressive. I think Senesi started, he got chucked in the deep end, didn't he, with the games, the Arsenal game and the Liverpool game, and then he actually struggled in moments at Norwich as well. And I think he's growing into it now, which has been great for him, and him and Mep seem to know each other a bit better. Even this game, I felt he grew into it. He got better as the game went on. Looks a lot calmer on the ball, reads the game quite well because he ain't got a lot of pace. So I was really, really pleased for him. But Meps, I tell you what, when things are just going your way. So Meps was always known as this defender that I've always known he's a good player and he's a good footballer. But it felt like every time he'd misplace a pass, they'd put it in the net. And you go, he's just not getting the right, so then he get criticised. He made one under-hit pass, and then Damsgaard hit it and Neto saved it. And you thought, that's when you're having the rub of the green at the moment, it's going your way, and you deserve that. You really deserve that at the moment, because you've been, in my opinion, it's only 8 games. But if I'll say it to you now, without and I'm going to ask this, if you had to say who's your player of the season, it's Chris Mepham. It's got to be Chris Mepham.
Yeah, it is Chris Mepham.
I think, I think everyone looks at the Liverpool game and kind of goes, well, I'll get that to the side. And then Mepham's just been our most consistent player. Really, really pleased for him. And as I say, when he did make one under-hit pass, I was just pleased he wasn't punished for it. And that's when things are going your way. And he deserves that, because he's been great. I think he brings the ball out well. As you say, defensive side of his game, the block. What I'm really, before you come to that, what you were going to say, what I'm really intrigued is that him and Senesi in particular. So I thought they looked good against Ivan Toney. He's a striker that's just kind of stood up there, big guy, but he's not going to run the channels as much. Similar with Isak, he kind of stood up there against them and they were fine. Against Leicester, they're going to either have Daka, Vardy, Iniacho's no slouch. They're going to be running with pace. That will be interesting.
Do you think that would be more of a sort of flat back four, so that Jay-Z can help out a little bit?
Maybe, and we'll probably make sure we're deep, because we don't want any runs in behind, because they're going to dust them for pace. So that'll be interesting, because they'll have to maybe change slightly their positioning for that game. But
one thing I was going to say is that Chris Mepham, I used to get a bit tentative when he would be on the ball. But now I don't really feel that nervousness or anxiety whenever he's on the ball. I feel relatively confident when he's on the ball.
I always feel like he's a brave player in the sense that he'll
try things.
He will always try and play the pass rather than just lump it up. Yeah. And as I say, unfortunately at times he gets caught out, it goes to the back of the net and he gets heavily criticised, of course. But at the moment, the more games he's playing, the more confidence he's getting. Because listen, he was one at the start of the season. Obviously, we had a different manager, but you thought he could go. He's got a World Cup coming up. He needs to be playing football, and at the moment, he's absolutely nailed on starter, isn't he? And it'll be interesting to see. I don't know how long he's going to be out for, but if Kelly was back tomorrow, would he go straight back in the side? I don't know. Is it a thing now where you're looking at it and going, actually, when Kelly's back, are we more suited to playing them three as a three, and maybe playing a 3-5-2, and then you can have Moore and Solanke up there. We ain't got a lot of wingers. Interesting, but good problems to have.
But then Marcus Senesi, whenever he was on, I thought he looked really composed as well. There was a moment in the second half where the ball was coming over, looked in a tight situation, he just chested it down, and looked really strong on the ball. And then he brought it out, and then his distribution was relatively good as well. He's growing into it, isn't
he? Absolutely. And you don't play for the Argentinian national team. You don't play in European games if you're not a good footballer. And I think we said this when we went to Norwich, because it was kind of the first time we probably saw him against, not against an unbelievable, like an Arsenal or a Liverpool, whatever. And I thought
Norwich are good.
Yeah, and I thought, okay, he hasn't got a load of pace. We can see that. But at times I thought, he likes the ball at his feet. Okay, he is comfortable with that. So I think we'll start to see that more as he comes in. And weirdly, we don't want Lloyd Kelly to be out, but that's allowed these two to kind of think, right, we've got the opportunity now. Because listen, we were weak at the back at the start of the season. That's why we needed. And Jack Stevens hasn't seen a kick because he can't get in. So really pleased for the pair of them, mate. And another clean sheet also falls into another player as well.
Yeah, Neto. Who, he. Obviously, Travers had that sort of misfortune of being dropped after the 9-0, which sort of looks bad. But there are reasons other than just shipping 9 goals that I'm sure they they took him out for that. But since Neto's been in, it's very difficult to then put Travers in again, because there was a stat that was out yesterday, I think, or today, about his save percentage, wasn't it?
Best in the Premier League. It's over,
really?
It's over 90%. The only one in the Premier League over 90%. And I thought back to it and go, actually, when he comes in, how many shots have gone through him? Was it the Forest game that he played in the Forest game, didn't he? Yeah, the Forest game. Apart from, and one's a penalty, isn't it? So you're looking at it going, actually, he's kept a few clean sheets already, and he's looking good. I agree. Mark Travers is. It's weird because Neto's done nothing wrong, and that stat alone says that how good a goalkeeper he is. But I don't think I still don't know if he's a better goalkeeper than Travers. I think what Neto brings is experience. He brings leadership qualities, and that at the time, after just getting slapped 9-0, and at a low moment, we just lost our manager as well. I think it was a really sensible call to take Travers out the firing line and go, let's bring in, listen, this guy's played for Brazil, he's played for Valencia, he's played for Barcelona.
What was weird during that first half is I sort of forgot who was in goal, and there was a point in time where I thought, Travers has done really well there, but it could be either of them.
Yeah,
that's how solid they both are.
Really good to have two good keepers. I think we've done that quite well in our Premier League time, really, because obviously we had the spell with Ramsdale, and we had Boric still on the books, then we've had Begovic on the books. It's really important to have two in there, and I do genuinely believe that they're both really competing, and Neto knows that. If Neto makes it as one of them games where he maybe drops a few things, lets in a silly goal, Travers can come straight in. He can come straight in, and no one would batter an eyelid, really. I think we've got two good goalkeepers there, but I do think that his experience is helping the back four and the team as a unit, to be honest. But nothing against Travers at all, of course. But I like Neto. I like our South American trio. We've discussed them all there. And before that, I think Juan Turby was the only South American we'd had. And but at the moment, I'm liking my South American trio, I've got to say.
Love it. So look, those were the 5 things we learned from the Brentford game, but it's also just worth touching on Brentford. I tell you what, nice to meet Simon Hoyle, who was on the fan cam. Simon, I didn't quite appreciate it was you, because I was stood filming and I sort of asked just before you would come on, what's your name? You Simon? I just thought it was any Simon. I didn't realise it was the Simon. Simon, great to meet you. I gather you met Tiggs just beforehand as well. And Brentford themselves, I thought they were quite disappointing. I expected more from them, but during the course of the season, they've been fairly sound, and they probably will be all right. They could get dragged in, but I thought that they've got quality all over the pitch, but maybe we should have imposed ourselves more on them because they weren't so good, but
maybe
they're a good side.
Yeah, I think they'll be. They were one of my teams that I thought could get dragged in at
Me
the start
too.
of the season, especially with losing Ericsson. We touched on that in the preview, but I think they may be, with Ericsson going, they may be taking a little bit out of themselves offensively, but I think they've probably improved defensively. I think Ben Mee's a really shrewd sign and gives you experience in the Premier League experience, and I think him and Janssen are a really solid pairing.
That's their first clean sheet in 19 games away from home.
Okay, that's interesting stat. But yeah, I do think they'll be okay, and I do want us to remember that I feel like, without even looking, that on these kind of shows when we've looked back on games, Wolves, we said, I thought Wolves would be better. Newcastle, we said, I thought Newcastle would be better. We said the same about Brentford. So let's give ourselves some credit that maybe we are nullifying these teams, even though I do agree with you. I did think Brentford would be better, but we are nullifying these teams well. But we're probably not offering enough up the other end. But from a Brentford point of view, I probably think it was a nice time to play him. I said this beforehand, but didn't want to jinx it. The Ivan Toney situation of him getting the England call up and then not getting a minute, I think would have deflated him a little bit, even subconsciously. If he had played 10 minutes and ran around and maybe he'd have come back going, I've played for England, real confidence. I think him going out there, not kicking the ball, he's probably come back a little bit light. And I think that helped us. I didn't think he looked great. And I also think them losing... I spoke about this with Steve Hensman. Norgard not being available, I think he's kind of... We were talking about it with Lerma. I think he's the glue a little bit. He keeps them ticking. And I think it probably was a good time to play him because they were without him.
When Ivan Toney is negated...
Yeah.
Do Brentford become crap? Not crap. Poorer. I think it would be, but
I think it's weirdly similar to us.
Isn't he?
I think if you stop Dom Solanke, you take so much out of the team. I was surprised. I don't know what Brentford fans think if there's many watching, but I said in the preview I thought the Visser might start. He come on. I thought they might have started him just because he gives them something else, something a bit different, and they didn't do that. And yeah, they're probably a little bit reliant on him. And as we mentioned when we're talking about our centre halves, they are centre halves that we've got in at the moment without Kelly. Met Celeste, I think they want a big man to stand up there with them, and that's what happened. And maybe that suited us a little bit. But yeah, Brentford will know they didn't. I think both teams will go, we weren't great, we haven't lost the game.
There are a lot of Bournemouth fans that are very pro Gary O'Neill, and they were after his first couple of performances, especially after Forest. And
How many games he lost?
He hasn't lost a game, but it's very quick to make judgments based on, Nottingham Forest, everyone was elated, give him the job. A couple of forum posts, and I feel it's important because I think we've been very pro Gary O'Neill, not pro Gary O'Neill, but we've been loving the work. He's made us more defensively resolute. It's very easy to say after you ship 9 goals against Liverpool. However, one forum poster said, to me, this was the day that Gary O'Neill showed he's not the man for the job. I gave him the benefit of the doubt for not attempting to attack a desperately low on confidence Wolves, but to do it again and have a second home game bereft of intent or entertainment should mean he should be viewed as a caretaker and then back in as a coach afterwards. What's your thoughts on seeing that?
I disagree.
Harsh,
I disagree personally. I can see the point because it was a dull game and we could have gone for it. But very easy to say in hindsight. I mentioned it earlier. We go for it. He brings on Jane Nantley and Dembele and gets 2 up and goes expansive. We get caught in the break and lose 1-0. I'm telling you now, don't know who that person is and who the post was made by, but they're saying that was naive.
Will this change your mind? It was Neil Dawson.
I know it was. I'm only joking. I know it was.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
no, of course. No, and I totally see the point, but in my opinion, if we go for it, it's all easy in hindsight. If we go for it, we make attacking changes, everyone probably would have been happy in the stadium. And we're going for this now. And we get caught on the counter-attack and lose 1-0. I'm telling you now that everyone's going, that shows a naive manager that's not ready for the job, in my opinion. I want to see a more expansive team. I've always said that. I'd rather go out there and I'd much rather draw 3-3 than 0-0. Yeah. Absolutely. But I think he's come into a job that have lost their captain at centre-half, our best centre-half. We've lost 9-0. And I think he's gone, right, I need to make us harder to beat first and foremost. Let's not go too mad here. Let's make sure we're harder to beat. And we have been. And only time will tell. I think at the moment, I agree with I wouldn't give him the job. I wouldn't go and give him a contract now. No chance. I would say we're in capable hands. We're in safe hands. We're doing well. He hasn't lost a football match. Let's keep it as it is, probably till the World Cup, but not put a timescale on it. See how we are. The players obviously playing for him. It's all going okay. And we'll see who's back. I personally think at the moment there's no one out there that we can attract that's screaming, come get the job, in my opinion. So that's why I'm happy. But It wasn't. Don't get me wrong. It was not a good football match. We weren't brave and offensive, but we were compact and resolute, and we got a good point, in my opinion.
Okay, Dom Solanke. Just want to talk about him as well. He's arguably our most important player, but he seemingly not being played to his. Look, these are the. We'll put them on screen now. These are the average positions, and there's Tavernier and Kiefer Moore playing
ahead of him.
Yeah, ahead of him. He's like the third most advanced player. He needs to be up there and getting more involved, doesn't he?
He does. I think he's getting, whether it's an instruction or just him naturally, I think he's getting frustrated. But by the way the game's panning out, and he's going searching for the ball, which I can appreciate. So he's dropping a lot deeper. And he's trying to do a bit too much. But I think it happened a lot last season, to be fair, even in the Championship. He is becoming a bit isolated at times, which I think he knows is going to happen. But we need to give Dom something. We're not giving him enough. We need to give him a few opportunities. If he's getting a couple of one-on-ones a game, I'm literally talking one or two, and he's missing them, you go, Dom, that's your job, mate. You're having a few. In this league, you're only going to get a few chances. You need to take them. Yeah. He's not even getting one or two, is he? So we do need to give him a little bit more. I do feel for him at times. I think what I will say about Gaz is he tried to get a body up there with him at home. He went, right, I'm going to play Kiefer Moore. We are at home. Let's try and get a body a little bit closer to him. But I don't think he got the balance right. He obviously played Billing kind of off the left position. He tried something.
To me, that was a bit.
It was odd. I think his thinking.
He did drift inside a lot, Bill.
I think his thinking was Bill will naturally drift inside. Jay-Z will bomb on and give us that width. It didn't quite work, in my opinion, and maybe we could have changed that. But I think he's trying to get Dom some support, but also not leaving us too open. It's a real fine balance. But Dom's. Yeah, you don't want Dom to be overly isolated, but he's going to know if he's a striker. I mean, Ivan Toney is a prime example. You're playing in one of them teams. It's going to be few and far between, and you are going to have to go search for the ball, and you are going to be frustrated for long periods, and that's when you need to show what you're about. It wasn't a good game for Dom, but equally, I don't think we helped him enough. I would like to see a Tavernier. I thought energy, sensational. By the way, he was dead on his feet at the end. Set pieces aside, I thought he was brilliant. I think he's been a really good addition. But I would like to see, like I say, it's probably an instruction, but someone like a Tavernier who's clearly got a bit of pace to just get a little bit closer, to be asked to go and get in and around Dom, give them something else to worry about, because at the moment, Ben Mee and Janssen were just worried about Dom running, really, and we need to give Dom a little bit more support, but hopefully that'll come.
I'll tell you what, I hate to cut Tom off, but on this show, I'm going to have to, because I've got to tell you about something very special. You've heard it on shows before. Look, it was a massive weekend for AFC Bournemouth. We came away with a draw, 1 point on the board, but in the Premier League itself, wow, there were some huge games. We watched it at the Brunswick, which is a Greene King pub, and the best place to watch Premier League games is, of course, your local Greene King. They show Sky Sports, BT Sport, they show the games on Amazon as well. And in and around Bournemouth, you've got plenty of pubs, including the Westbourne, you've got the Broadway, in Poole, you've got the Churchill, the Antelope, the Jolly Sailor. There are loads. Just head to the Greene King website and you can see your nearest pub. It's the ideal place to have food and drink before a game. And also, if you go to the Brunny, it's actually a short walk to the stadium from there as well. We needed to tell you about the Greene King season ticket app as well. Just go to your app store and just type in Greene King, it's green with an E, and then you'll see the second one down, the season ticket app. Will tell you why it's a good thing, right? Because when you do download it, you get 10% off a range of drinks, both an hour before, during the game, and after the game as well, for all big TV games. So, for instance, the North London derby at lunchtime, that was good, 10% off. Also, you've got your booking functionality as well. You can book your table on there. There'll be offers that are dropping throughout the season as well. Plus, we've got something very special, because if you sign up to the season ticket app, but in the promotion code bit, type BOTN, well, we'll give you a free drink, a free pint, a free soft drink, whatever you want, a free drink just for downloading the app. But you've got to type in BOTN to do that, and you can use it at any Greene King pub. That offer can be used at any time, but the 10% can only be used in and around their major TV games. By the way, also when you sign up, we'll also chuck you an offer, £5 off any £15 spend Ridiculous, hey? So yeah, just search Season Ticket or Greene King on your app store to download it. If you can't make it to the game, make it to a Greene King pub. It's your home of pub sport. It's where the fans go. Make sure you download that. Right, before me and Tom have our say on Brentford, we need to get some opinions from some Cherries fans far and wide. We've got Terry Nichols from the States, but first, Morgan Scott.
So on Saturday, I thought we defended really, really well at times, and I thought that we didn't let them create too many opportunities. VAR, that speaks for itself, in my opinion. It's not the fact, I think it's more the inconsistencies that VAR seems to have. But I'm not going to base it too much on that. At the end of the day, we have to accept it and move on to Leicester. Chris Mepham, man of the match by far, in my opinion. I thought he made 3 terrific blocks. Followed quite closely by his partner in crime, Senesi, at the back with him, and also Jeff Lerma. I thought he put in a very good performance in the middle of the park. But that's what I thought of the game, and hopefully next week against Leicester we'll get the 3 points. Up the Cherries!
Hi, back in the net, people. I predicted a 0-0 draw, but I really would have liked if we could have managed a 1-0. I think we had chances, but thank goodness for our defense. If the handball had been called at the end of the game, it would have been 3 points instead of 1, but I'll take the 1. Up the Cherries.
Hopefully that will come. Okay, those are the 5 things we learned then after Bournemouth versus Brentford. Look, there's more Premier League content on the way this week, including tomorrow, Tuesday, we've got the Premier League show where we go over the latest match week. May give a mention to FPL as well. Certain players did all right. Also on Wednesday, we've got a video which is quite an important one because we're talking about the future of back of the net. So, yeah, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the like on this video. That would truly help. But until the next one, up the chairs.
Up, Chess. I was trying to do the sync and I missed your head.